that's after I kept sending messages that supposed to be for somebody else, but that was another one. You mean so.
So now if you can just go back to the other screen.
Okay. All right, we're good. So welcome to the October 16 meeting of council. The meeting's starting a little bit after 6 p.m. I'll call this meeting to order, acknowledging that the meeting is taking place in Mi'kmaq, the traditional ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. I will not read the live streaming notice. We have nobody in the gallery today. Members of council are present with the exception of Councillor Tompkins, who is on its way. So we expect to have him here. Are there any additions to the agenda? If there are no additions to the agenda, it's approved by unanimous consent. And the council minutes are before you, council minutes of September 20th, 2023. Any changes, errors, omissions? Hearing none, it's also approved by unanimous consent. We have no presentations that we're aware of. No public input scheduled. So we can go right away to the quarterly financial update. We have our Director of Finance, Melanie Robinson, with us. Over to you, Melanie.
All right, I'm going to share my screen with you. So, can everybody see my screen?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the highlights. So for taxes, 747 versus 733. Most of that is the HST offset. We ended up receiving more than what we anticipated, and the commercial taxes were up ever so slightly. The next one is the grants in lieu, 438 versus 426. 50,000 of that is the NSPI. We ended up getting more money than we anticipated, and our federal grants in lieu are slow to come in. They've been applied, but they haven't come in yet. So that's the difference there. There were no variances in services to other governments, which would be things like police checks and planning services. License and permits, 2740 versus 5620. That's building fees. They're just coming in slower than what we anticipated. The fines, 3377 versus 45. They are what they are. The rental leases sales, 31 versus 25. That difference is the donations for the Grant Potter Park. That is in that line item. Return on investments are what they are, well above budget. I never thought we would get to 18,255. Thought we'd be at 45 now, so that's going to be well over budget come the end of the year. Penalty and interest on taxes, that is what they are, 5492. Concessions and franchises, you all know what that driver is. That's the D transfer. I think it's about 21,000 above budget. And we also received a wellness grant for which you're enjoying the fruits of those labors tonight. There was no variance in conditional transfers. That's just our Department of Justice and Equalization, which is now called the MFC. Recreation, a little bit more money than we anticipated in the pickleball. Overall, Noah's indicated we'll probably receive around $10,000 in fees for that. And wow. Yeah, and also there's some other little thing. Oh yeah, the climbing wall rental. Yep. So then for marketing, community works. So the ambassador in the police department, we thought we could have received 9360. We only received 4,500, and that's because we didn't hire someone soon enough. We tried, there was nothing we could do. So we thought we would be at 1.5. We're at 1.57. So that's good. We're above budget in our revenue. Any questions on the revenue?
It's very fast and pretty concise, Melanie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big though on the return on investments.
Yeah.
Big
Interest rates.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we go to general government, and under legislative, which is all the council costs and legal and audit and things like that, 65 versus 83. The drivers here are the engineering. They're just coming in slower than we anticipated, and that's really the only driver. We've got some money that hasn't been spent yet, but it will. So it's just a timing difference. General admin, that's the administration. Those are just small variances I went through, and I couldn't really earmark really anything. I think it's just timing difference. The taxation, which is like fuel, cleaning, water, insurance, things like that. And repairs. So we had planned to paint the side of this building. It just didn't happen this year. Couldn't find anyone to do it. And the others is really a timing difference. We've had the mini splits clean. We just haven't received invoices for them. Other general administration, such as office supplies, postage, membership fees and whatnot, is 2466 versus 23. And that is the Heritage Award Conference, that 2,500 that I've been carrying around forever. I thought that would be expense. That's not going to be expense this year. So you'll see that again next year.
Should we be asking about whether anybody ever intends to do anything with that, Melanie?
Well,
Okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah, I think they do. It's just they haven't. The next Heritage Conference, we have to give the 2,500 to them.
Yeah.
So we just keep carrying it on our books until we pay for it.
Be nice if they decided whose turn it was, we could just transfer the money. Yeah,
I agree.
anyway, we can't do anything.
No, so protective services, the 211,600 versus 244,328. So that is, I've got my little notes here. Checks, courses, clothing, they're all below budget. And the second quarter standby, which usually is paid September, the payroll ended, I think, October 6th. So I paid it, you'll see it in October. So that's a variance. I think they're all just timing differences, and you're not going to see any variances there. The law enforcement, which is telephone, radio, cell phone, police answering service. It's the police answering service that we haven't received an invoice yet. That's just a timing difference. Fire protection, which is the fire hydrant tax and our grant that we give to the fire department. That's flat, 138 versus 138. Trees and animals, 16 versus 21. That is the tree removal and gardening are below budget, and I expect it's just a timing difference. So any questions on protective services? Okay, so then we move into public works. So common services, 73.4 versus 90.3. The bulk of that, okay, so you already know about the Kubota, the used Kubota that was repaired and the software costs. They weren't budgeted, but anyway, but there's other things like the painting of the public works building that was budgeted. That's not going to happen. There's a few other little things, and the labor costs overall for that department are below budget. The road transport, which is, the asphalt, patch paving, sidewalk painting, street painting, all that. That's what this category is, 33.3 versus 51.2. And the timing difference is, for the most part, roads. The painting is going to end up being below budget. Ken has advised we're done with the painting for the year. And you will see the asphalt, but we didn't get the invoice till October. So this is, of course, September. So again, it's just a timing difference, except for painting will be below by 2,500.
So I just would like to say that they are still going to be painting the crosswalks. We're waiting for safety first to come in and do the traffic control. But they probably have the paint purchased. So
they do have the paint, so there'll be no more cost for paint.
Right, but they are still moving forward with doing more painting this year.
Okay.
Just to clarify.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on transportation services?
No.
Okay, we'll move on to sewage. Pardon me. So you see the 92 versus 177. And I'm sure you can all realize that's the 80,000 that we budgeted for the sewage lagoon dredging. So there's an enzyme treatment that's now being considered. So dredging may or may not happen, and it will save the town about 2/3 of the cost. So that's a savings that you're going to hopefully see, and that savings will be transferred over to your operating reserve at the end of the year. Garbage collection's flat. Recreation facilities, flat. Marketing 61 versus 108, and that's the Build Nova Scotia costs are coming in slower than we anticipated. And the marketing, the general marketing, it's just being expensed, dispersed slower than we thought. And that's all that is. Cultural services, that's just the library's just coming in a little bit higher than we budgeted. And I looked at that today, and that's the price for cleaning supplies. That's what's driving that. Economic development, 59 versus 57. And that is the hub expenses are coming in slightly over what we budgeted this first year. We've isolated the hub expenses, and there's probably a little bit of room for improvement there, but it's not off by much, $1,000. Fiscal services are flat, and unconditional transfers are flat. We thought we'd be at 138 surplus the end of September, and lo and behold, we're almost $500,000 surplus at 455.5. Are there any?
Yeah, Melanie, so hub expenses, how come we're going over budget on that? Do you have anything specific?
I don't. It would be, we knew what we knew. We based on the square footage, so we knew what the cleaning cost would be and the condo fees associated with that square footage. So my guess would be it's power bills, the cleaning supplies, the same thing that we're seeing with the library. I went to the library today, and it's a cleaning supply cost. So,
Melanie, would that also include that roof repair that we had to do at the conference center, or was that booked somewhere else?
that the conference center wouldn't be in the hub expense.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
An increase in condo fees, is that in there too?
At the end, we knew the increase in condo fees going into the budget, so they were already incorporated. They were already part of it, so there'd be no variance there at all.
All right.
Thanks, Mel.
You're welcome. Any other questions on that? In great shape again. Okay, so I'll stop sharing that, and if you're ready, we'll move to the capital. So I need to share my screen again, just bear with me. Here we go. So can you see that? Whoops, seeing the wrong one. Can you see this? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the general capital and the water capital. And I had some notes, but of course I can't find them. Anyway, nothing's changed from the first quarter with the sanitary sewer, the blower. That's still there. Budget was 12.5. It came in at 13. The SCADA is ongoing. So we budgeted 80. It's at the end of September, it was at 51.3, and there's still costs coming in for that. The pump at the Riverview Drive, 10,000. We spent 97. So new this time is the sanitary sewer transmission, the solar panels, the 249. The end of September, we'd spent 15. I can tell you we spent more than that today. SARS 12, and we spent 11.4, but I've just been notified there's another invoice, so that's actually going to go over budget. Water pumps at the water tower, 15.4 came in at 11.5. The 2 horsepower pumps, the pumping equipment budget was 15, and I believe there was a council motion because this was passed. This was an addendum to our approved capital budget, came in at 92.52. These are, so when you see the 04-3, whatever, those are general capital. When you see the 03-, those are capital water. So the SCADA computer monitoring, there was part of that, 25% of the capital costs were attributed to water. So that's what you see here. We budgeted 28, came in at 17. And the water main saddles, we budgeted 60, and that's just starting this month. So there's no cost incurred there. There were a couple other capital water items that aren't going to happen. And I don't have my notes in front of me, but one had to do with the enzymes, effluent something or other, I can't remember, but that's not going to take place. What you see here is what we're going to build on. So I put ongoing on some of them. So that's our That's our capital. We thought, so we've got $500,000 and of which the end of September, we spent 138. Are there any questions?
Yeah, could you jump on that? Yeah. Thank you, Melanie.
So then I also have, on the SharePoint, I have a few, all the balance sheets, and I was going to bring them up, but to save time, I'm not going to bring them up and share them, but you can look at them and you can see that there's no investments this year. There's lots of money earning interest on the cash sitting in our bank account. So because there's so many things we don't know, and we still don't know, I decided not to invest any money because, well, for instance, I mean, there is the dredging. We thought we tucked away $80,000 and it's not going to happen. So there were several things like that. But the balance sheets look really good. And if you only look at one balance sheet, I suggest you open up the and look at the capital reserve balance sheet. You can see the amount in the gas tax, you can see the amount in the capital reserves, and then there's a gas tax bank account as well. That'll tell you exactly how much money is sitting in that bank account. Lots of cash in all of those bank accounts. They're earning good money. I don't think we could earn any more if I booked it into a GIC.
Yeah.
So I do want to say it was a stretch to get these statements done because I know you wanted to see them on the 16th, and we had water bills go out the end of September. It was a horrific month towards the end of September. I had to bring a staff member in last week just so that we could try to close on Friday. I wasn't able to close on Friday. I've got to close today. And so these statements are fresh off the press. So I was supposed to present them on November 1st. So I would like to go back and present them on a committee of the whole again. I know it's a month after, but in this case, it would have been 2 more weeks, and it just caused a lot of, it was a lot of work for us. And in December, we'll be off, and then we come back and it would be really hard to have to close and present on December or January 17th. As well, we've had a big push for tax collections and water collections. So anyway, just if you would just consider that.
Well, what do we think about that? Maybe we'll decide that now.
Well, I think it's reasonable that Melanie's been understaffed.
Yeah.
We lost 2 staff members in 1 month. So good job, Melanie, for getting all this out so quick. Thank you.
Maybe once they get more comfortable working in the office, the new staff, it'll be hopefully easier all around. All right.
My preference is to have these as current as possible, not a month behind. But if it's, I don't know if you're doing the water bill and tax push every month, or is this?
We do it when we have, we do tend to do it every month, but when the tax bills are going out, as you know, next week. So when another tax bill or water, the water every quarter, that's when we do the push, because that changes the mix. Once another bill goes out, the other one is overdue.
And this case,
So yeah, the end of October, we'll be doing the same thing.
we had 2 people who've never done them before.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, like it just
Yeah.
takes a while to get
So
everything.
maybe just leave it until January and then we'll review it.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
Yeah,
give a
Yeah.
chance for everybody to get up to speed.
Yeah. Take the pressure off a bit.
yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
But that really won't help. Because they won't do another water bill until December,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, but if
So
I
then
don't,
to ask Melanie to have her stuff ready
well, that's
So
why.
it's not
in
even-
January again.
It's not every
that's
month that
just-
they're doing the water, it's every quarter. so-
Correct.
Yeah, so instead of presenting January 17th, I would present February 7th. For your third.
Third quarter, ending in December,
Ending in December, we get it in February.
February.
Yeah.
Just because like they just did one water bill, right? So they're not gonna have experience really after just doing
Yeah,
Right.
another one. And then the tax bills are just twice a year, so it's like,
Mm.
you know, this will be the first one, but they won't have another one again,
Well, I think
For
we should
6 months.
consider the whole schedule.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we should. Yeah. and-
So this month coming in December, there's not gonna be the water bills at that time.
yeah, they put the water bills at the end of December.
So tax bills go out this month and water bills, your third quarter water bills go out at the end of December.
So it depends on what kind of reports you're looking for, like, it kind of sounds like you're wanting a more up to date, because if you're getting them, you're getting your February, you're getting your December actuals,
Yeah,
right? So that's 2 months
After the act.
after the actual, so like, how
Well,
accurate are you looking for your actuals?
And
Is my
December?
question.
December should be accurate because that's our interim audit. I
We're not
mean,
gonna get December numbers until February.
yeah, you'd have them February 7th.
So anytime we need to make any sort of adjustment, we're almost 2 months behind.
What do other units do, Melanie?
I don't know, I could certainly find out.
Yeah, why don't we check it out and just see?
Yeah.
Because maybe you just want, and I don't, I'm not sure really what you're looking for, but like, maybe everything doesn't have to be closed to give you
an
an
idea.
idea of where you're standing, right?
Just
Like
be a financial
because-
report.
a financial
Yeah.
report instead of
Yeah.
quarterlies, because,
What's outstanding and, yeah.
right,
that would
because
work.
like
Kind of what's
the
going on.
power
Expense
bills,
expense accounts would be good to have some idea what's going on in those,
right?
not 2 months after.
Yeah.
Especially with winter coming on, we get
So it kind of
overtime.
depends what you're looking for on how Melanie can report on it, right?
So how often do we have to make adjustments? You know, is this something that is, once we've received the numbers, we see, you know, you
Well-
guys have experience than I.
If there was
So
a
is
huge,
this something that's common?
if there was a huge budget variance, I'm sure Sandy would bring that to your attention immediately. We wouldn't wait for a quarter. I look
Yeah.
at these every day.
And we can get an update on expenses that anybody needs
Anytime.
every day, because she's looking at it. So
Yeah.
there's no lack of whatever.
So I
It's-
personally, I'm okay with February 7th. It's going to give staff time to prepare the numbers following the Christmas vacation. And so things are not rushed.
And if there's questions, any member of council can ask for an update on where we are in expenses.
Yeah,
Yeah, Melanie has an open door policy.
But I find it's a good system for financial reporting. It's very good. Whenever I have a question, like today, I had questions about the library stuff and I got a report same day, basically,
Yeah, I'm fine with February the 7th.
knowing that councillors can ask questions at any
Yeah.
time and get updates on expenses for whatever.
And if anything goes over, then I bring it to your attention and ask for a motion, you know, to do anything, and then we have the report from Melanie for that specific item. So if our oil or snow plowing is over budget, that would come to you before the 2 months for
Okay.
the variance, so.
And most of where we went over was the capital budget, right? That's most of where our changes came,
Mhm.
and that's pretty clear cut, that one.
yeah.
And in your
So-
operating budget, when you do go over, I think we've got several motions. So you're
Yeah.
covered.
So are we okay with that?
Yeah.
So, okay with.
Thank you very much. That'll make my life a lot easier.
Well, thank you for pulling this all
Yeah.
together. Appreciate it, especially with the water bills and everything else that happened. Thank you. Any other questions for Melanie? Anything else you want us to look at on that, Melanie?
I'm good.
You're good? Okay,
Another good month, so another good quarter to report on. I'm pleased.
wonderful. Okay, thanks so much, Melanie.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
So we've done the quarterly report. So we're in the recommendations of committees, boards, and commissions. So who's going to start?
May I suggest that we start with Councillor Houghton and go around the table?
Yep, sure. I move that council write
So,
off the water utility account of $640.02 in the amount of, oh, sorry. Say that again. I move that council write off the water utility account 0.02 in the amount of $320.85.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Thank you.
So I'll move a motion that council to approve the revised Annapolis REMO, the intermunicipal emergency services agreement between the municipality of the county of Annapolis, town of Annapolis Royal, and the town of Middleton.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is a recommendation to council. Motion 3.
Okay, move that count. Okay,
The
Move.
council recommend.
that council recommend council town hall to be closed from December 22nd, 2023 to January 2nd, 2024. Inclusive, and further that the town hall staff use vacation time, unpaid leave, and or time in lieu in the equivalent amount of 3 days.
I don't need to second that. Do I need-
Yeah,
I'll second that.
sure.
Okay.
So
Any discussion?
It's not to recommend to council,
I
it's
not a
for
motion.
council to approve that town hall will be closed from.
it's
It's a motion.
It's a
Yeah.
motion.
It's a motion?
The
It's a
council
motion.
hall. Yeah, so we're two that council's in.
Okay,
So why are we recommending?
No.
No, if it was, there were two that cancel.
yeah, it was just it was just wrote a little
Written a little different.
different, but yeah.
But the
So
council.
so it's it's a motion.
Okay,
You'll second it?
I will second the motion.
Okay.
I heard recommendation.
I did. Ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Planning and Heritage Advisory Committee.
The council give first reading for approval to amend Schedule A of the land use bylaw. The amended 3-zone lands of Michael and Jessica Deanna at 558 St. George Street from residential single use RSU to residential medium density RMD.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do you have any, does anyone have any?
Questions
Oh, sorry,
on it?
Go ahead. We went through that.
Yeah, we were there.
Oh,
so-
this hasn't come up
It
yet,
hasn't
has it?
come up.
No, no.
Yeah,
Okay, so, yeah, we were at the planning and.
Yeah, we're just like,
That was good.
So discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, so the property right, oh, sorry, go ahead, Sandy, because you know
Yes.
more about this.
No, it's,
Yeah.
nope, you're
Okay.
fine.
It's in the package.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the back.
Yeah, it's in the packet.
Yeah.
And Chris Millier walked us through it, well, it's him and his associate,
Mhm.
but yeah.
It used to be 3 units. And I think actually there's still 3 power meters on the
Mhm.
building.
Right,
And then over the years, it got, one of the units got kind of knocked through into the other unit, so it became
to,
the main living area and then the apartment. And now it's going, they want to convert it back, the new owners want to convert it back into 2 rental units.
Upstairs.
In addition to the main home. So it'll be, and each of the units has its own access to the road, its own front door. So, yeah,
And there's no exterior changes.
There's no
It's
exterior.
just all interior work.
Yep.
And because when we changed our NPS and LUB last time, we just blanketed everything to residential single use instead of going door to door to find out who had what.
Mhm.
So now that it's changing to the units, that's why it's going to the RMD.
okay,
Do we need to consider parking?
That was
That
considered.
that is definitely
So it's
considered.
in the report.
Yeah.
And will Chris Millier and his associate do like what during first reading, will they be there? How does that go? Will
This
we
is
see them
first
again?
reading.
This is, okay, so
Yeah,
the
so-
final one?
Yeah, so at second reading, so they will do the public hearing, because
Yes,
there's a public
that's-
hearing.
Yeah,
And all of the residents 200 feet from the property will be notified. And we have the public hearing on November 15th, if that is the date that you make your motion for next.
and is that,
And then we have the second reading of final council.
okay,
question on the motion.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye, motion carried.
and then I'll tag on to that. I move that council set the public hearing date of November the 15th, 2023 at 5 o'clock.
I'll second that.
Get your calendars out.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So it is council night
Yeah.
anyway.
but it's an hour
But it's an
ahead.
hour earlier.
15th would be an hour.
I'm just gonna jot this into.
And that's
the
where
calendar.
the public is invited and the presentation will be done by Planner Millier.
Just looking at the page, I remember parking. was in
Yes,
it.
parking
Yeah,
is listed
yeah.
in there.
And there didn't appear to be any,
No, there's lots of property.
yeah,
That was a very complete report.
yeah, no, they did a great job
Yeah.
presenting.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay,
We
great.
can't
Yeah, it
use
was
it
definitely one of
for
the easier
rentals.
ones to decide on,
Good.
Yes.
because there was no changes to the building on the outside.
No,
Okay.
it was a great way to utilize big.
And now we are moving on to reports.
Question?
We have
Can we vote on that motion?
Oh, the 15th?
Yeah.
Question on the motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to reports, the first report is mine. I'll just point out, just a few things that weren't in it. Basically, CAO and I plan to meet to discuss changes to plan and preparation for the working session. That's on October 25th. But our meeting is on the 30th. And also, I should have reported in here that I've heard comments about beautification and signage. Subject to beautification, about considerations for the future and signage, so I'll put those in a future report. And we can move on, unless there's any questions about my report.
Yeah, the strategic, the meeting is for all of us? No,
It's on
okay.
the 25th, but if anybody was available and wanted to come to that, I'm sure you could. So we'll be preparing the name changes to
The
the.
30th is our
obvious stuff.
strategic. Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna try to put in the stuff that we know has changed, like the
Yeah.
environmental stuff, and do as much of that ahead of the meeting so that we can. And you'll see all the things, we'll highlight them so that you can see what's in there, okay?
Okay, thanks.
So on to the chief administrator's report.
And that was in your agenda. I don't know if there was any questions. We're still.
I had a question, but I'll wait to see if anybody else had.
Yeah, I just had a question, Sandy, about the You Are Here signs. Do you have an update on those signs?
No,
Oh,
The one, the new one down here, you mean?
Yeah, are they gonna be placed throughout the town?
There's already one place.
we do have one at the farmer's market.
yeah, so
That's
that's,
a
right.
difference.
that wasn't through the
Exactly.
Annapolis Royal Refresh. So
Yeah,
the
okay.
refresh group is still working on it and trying to figure out if we have money for how many
Okay,
and so I think they're putting, well, they had the location at the farmer's market
yeah,
and on King's Theater, the bigger signs, and then the smaller one's gonna go at the amphitheater up in front where the parking is, so when people get out of the cars to park, they'll see the sign there and get direction.
okay,
And then the other ones, they haven't, we meet tomorrow.
okay. And we've got that new sign on the highway.
Yes, so that wasn't from this refresh either. That was a grant 2 years ago that we got from, like, I can't remember where, tourism development, tourism.
We're
or
on
something.
vacation when the call came
Okay,
in.
and I said, yeah,
Great,
give
okay,
me money, yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
So, yeah, so
I
that-
Have you seen it yet?
In
I've
person.
seen the
It's
picture.
very visible.
Oh, is it?
Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw it today.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
The rich ones.
Nice.
Highly
know.
visible.
Okay, perfect.
so that grant is now finished and spent.
Good.
We saw it on the way back from Digby.
Yeah, I just very seldom go that way.
And you haven't heard anything from anybody?
Does the sign have a light on it? No, okay.
No, it's in the middle of the trees. Like
Oh.
on our property, at First Lake
Oh,
property,
okay,
it's
yeah.
like, it's not like because of the 101, you're not allowed to put signage so far
Oh.
close to the
Right,
intersection, so it's on our property back farther
okay.
along the tree
But
line.
you definitely see it.
But
It's a
Okay.
nice bright orange,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah,
cherry and,
Pops.
yeah,
Stands out.
yeah.
great.
What is alertable presentation at County of Annapolis Royal and EPR?
Alertable, so that was, we
Okay.
went, and it's a new program that you can buy into. And it's kind of like a messaging system that you can have, so it's to send out any alerts, so it's alerts for Remo topics, the town of Yarmouth.
EPR related, that's where I
Right.
got confused,
Yeah.
okay.
The town of Yarmouth uses it currently, they use it for emergency measures, and they also use it to promote events and stuff. You sign up for it, there's an app for it, quite a program. It's, I think, about $4,000 or $5,000. So they're thinking that Remo would have an option and put it in next year's budget. Cause that's cost shared between the three of us, and so that was, we had a presentation to,
So all residents have the app, does that work?
if they can, yes, they can choose to have the app, and then they will get the notifications as soon as they're sent out. There, you can get it by the app, you can get an email, or you can get a phone call. So it depends, everybody has to go on themselves and sign up for what they want, how they want to receive the message, and how many message they want to receive. If they only want to receive like the high notifications, they're all like categorized. So if you want only the extreme important ones, then you pick that when you're signing up to your app. If you want everything, you can get every notification that comes through. If you go on Alertable now and download the app, anything from the Environment Canada would come through and give you notice of any of the hurricane updates and stuff like that are out there now.
Okay, wow.
So it was just a webinar to.
I mixed it up. I thought it had to do with EPR, it's separate. Thank you. Any other questions for Sandy?
You've been busy.
Yes, and I'm away at the conference for the rest of the week. That's why we're
Oh,
meeting
okay.
tonight, right? So because I will be in Digby.
And you have the planning services report and water report. Any questions on any of that, as well as fire inspection report? Wasn't very much. I had just one question on the planning services report. And just a question, Sandy, on the building permit report.
Mhm.
So why would it say year-to-date for us, 23, 24, 300,010? And total estimated value year-to-date 2022, 23, the same amount? Or am I reading it wrong?
Yeah, so that's our current year that we're in. So
Yeah.
those two are the same. So,
They are
The month-
exactly the same?
yeah, so the month of October,
Yeah.
the building permits is just the one for the 10 with
So
that
they-
total.
So it was just accidental that they were the same?
Yeah.
That's odd. Okay, great. That was my question. Okay.
Can I just ask a quick question on the water tests? So,
Yes.
the absence, bacteria absence, but it's the chlorine residual. How come the chlorine is so high on the St. Anthony Street location? Do you see that? It's usually under 1, but it's always over 1 at St. Anthony Street.
Cause that's where it's the first location that gets tested from Granville Ferry. So our water comes from
right.
Granville Ferry.
Yeah.
And so that's where it gets chlorinated there, and then
Okay.
it goes through the system. So that's the first kind of stop.
Right.
And then it goes through.
Yeah.
Victoria Street, and then by the time it gets
Gets
to
to
the
the
keel, it gets a little boost at the
yeah.
keel if it needs it.
Yeah.
So that's the,
Oh, right, okay,
process.
yeah, that makes sense. I've been meaning to ask you that for a long time. It's always slightly higher at that location. And I never knew why. That makes sense. Thanks,
Any
Mandy.
other questions? The reports are in, great. So I guess marketing and economic development, I put that in the mayor's report, but I'll just read you briefly. I attended the meeting and was there. Members had a lively discussion about the chair's draft marketing plan. It was a very, very animated meeting, I have to say.
I did hear a little bit about that.
All members have been asked to respond to the chair's request for feedback on the draft plan. So basically where it's at, she's presented a draft plan, there's a lot of feedback. What's good is she just presented basically a straw document.
Yeah.
Was expecting feedback. I think people thought it was more than that. No, it's just a first attempt to get thoughts on paper. So basically that's where it sits, is she's asking for feedback from everybody. We've all received a copy, so. And the CAO also updated some in the status of Annapolis Refresh, basically money being spent. And did I miss anything, Sandy? Those were the highlights of the meeting, was the big discussion about the marketing plan. Yeah, okay, that's my little report.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
Well, it's okay because
We do.
it was a discussion, it's a good discussion.
Yeah.
Good.
It's good.
It's lively.
And
I think we'll all be at the next
and the
meeting.
members-
That's how it's great.
And he had comment like he didn't know that a town committee would be a blood sport or something like that.
What?
He sat through the meeting, no, he was just very nice, anyway.
Okay.
So
Okay.
please report is next.
Yeah, so that was deferred and it's happening this Wednesday,
All right.
10 a.m. We messed everything up.
On the Twitter committee, I can report that I've received 2 reports on accomplishments from the mayor of Royan, which I've not yet read. They're all in French, but I will. He sent me 2 beautiful documents, but I'll bring them then the next meeting just so you can see the visuals.
Yeah.
We're comparing apples and oranges when we look at the city with the big conference facility. But he sent in their report on their councils. Their terms are longer, but it's a report on their plans, what they've done, what's left to do, with lots of visuals.
Wow.
And we'll bring it because it's quite visually stunning to see
Cool.
a different way of doing a report. And I did respond that we want to go in, or the town wishes to send a delegation in 2025. So I haven't heard back on that. So that's my report on that. Library report from Councilor Ware.
Yes, so I attended my first Annapolis Valley Regional Library Board meeting in Berwick on the 21st. The good news, I guess, to begin with, our local library circulation of materials is up over last year, over 18%, nearly 19%, with over 15,000 items lent out. As well, our branch is averaging 1,873 wireless connections per month, for an average of 3,250 hours of wireless usage per month at our library. And those are the highest numbers of any of the branches, any of the unbed branches.
Wow.
So that's good.
It's probably the most rural and no internet access, right?
Right, okay. It
Oh,
help
yeah.
having a cafe there as well,
It would help having the cafe there. You
Yeah.
see students there, of course.
Yeah.
doing home labs.
Constantly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
But also as a resident of the condominiums, there's people there day and night
Yeah.
outside on their computers.
Yeah,
So,
great.
which is great. It's the time when financially, probably there's a lot of people who are struggling.
Mhm.
And this is a way of them to have internet access without having to bear the cost. So I think it's great. On the other hand, the board, the Annapolis Valley Regional Library Board, is in a precarious financial position. Right now, their operating costs are outstripping their total funding. They're relying upon the reserve funds. Hasn't been, situations been made worse because they just signed a new collective agreement with their staff. Ratified in September. And basically for 2 years, this is okay. In 2025, the provincial funding formula is due to change. It's due for renewal. If money is not increased, if there's not more money coming from the province, then there's going to be cutbacks. It's just a fact. I guess I'll go to what's important for us. The $1.2 million Evans bequest has been invested using a conservative investment strategy, taking advantage of high interest rates, just as we are here, as the town is doing. The board has also set aside $33,732 from that bequest, with the intention of using that money to install a heat pump at the Annapolis Library, provided that the town agrees to it. Of the 1.2 million, the board's intention is to spend about 3.5% of that each year on the Annapolis Royal Library. So roughly $40,000.
Is that that sort of interest, right? Because it would generate 50,000, okay.
The financial advisor for the board met with us in September. He expects, based upon past performance, between 5 and 6% profit on our investment, and is recommending 3.5% be used. The board is still contemplating on how to proceed, and has directed the CEO to open a dialogue with the town of Annapolis Royal regarding the annual disbursement. Her intention is for the talks to be positive and transparent, her words. And she
Perfect.
said she is sympathetic to the town's financial situation. And I guess the last part would be I joined the investment committee.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
And we're having our first meeting next Monday to watch over our $1.2 million.
Wonderful. Well, that's
Really
good. That's great.
So that's my report.
That's a
Thank
great
you.
report.
Yes,
Thank
it is.
you.
Welcome. Any
It would be nice if they spent more than the 3.5 when they're making 5 or 6, but we will work on that.
We have our representative now, so.
Do they reinvest the rest of it back in?
They are.
So line of the other 2.5 to 3?
The intention right now is to ensure that the bequest, the money that's been invested, grows to take account of interest or inflation, excuse me. But as well that the money is there in case in the future there may be some large financial capital expense that could come up.
I look forward to the open dialogue between the CAO and the town.
Well, it's all
That's
new,
excellent.
it's all new,
Yep.
people there and so far so good. We haven't had a wrap, obviously. yet.
Yes, I should point out that the board has lost 2 more of their staff in Berwick,
Yeah,
so.
tough. Yeah, it's a very difficult position. We had a good presentation from them all. The presentation that Beth made was very instructive. That is great. Thank you for a good report, great report. And traffic flow advisory, that is deferred, I understand. Interim board, I won't go through everything. You've got it in my report. So let's go on to Environment Advisory Committee. Oh, that's my report too, because somebody was
I
going.
was, absent from the meeting.
Okay, I can be very brief.
Okay.
So they're working on a call from the US mayors, 1,400 US mayors to our New York Mayor Eric Adams and promoting plant-based food as a way of combating climate change. So I was asked to get a copy of the treaty that was, so I did request that on September 28th, that's on the committee. So that's where that is.
Mhm.
You did ask for this item to be referred. The committee's still working hard on the letter about hydrophosphate. So that is still, they're not satisfied with the language yet. They've decided not to pursue Nova Scotia's critical mineral strategy because of what's the applicability to a small town. And we could do lots of research, but unless it's directly applicable, they
Right.
thought their time would be best spent on other things.
Yeah.
So they've decided not to, if somebody wanted to take that on, and that's where that is. I don't think there was anything else that came out of that meeting. It was a good meeting. And, oh yes, and we're working on some communication pieces. So there are a couple of teams, Star Caldwell and I have the EPR explaining this to the public, and she's working on that. We thought we'd do a Q&A type thing. And we've also asked for a little update to go for the town crier, so we'll see if that's ready.
Good.
So
Thank you.
that's from the Environment Committee for our Councillor Hapting. Okay,
Thank you.
and Academy Condo Board, Condo Board.
So just under 2 weeks ago, I reported on the most recent condo meeting and they haven't met since then. So I'll give you an update at the next meeting.
This is going to make a very short list.
Yeah.
Friends of the pool.
All right, so plans are underway to address the facility equipment maintenance work that needs to be completed before next summer. Pool liner expert will be doing a site visit soon. Early estimates on the replacement of the current liner, which is collapsing, and that was one of the issues they had all summer. They had a couple of major where the seam had given way and opened up and the water was leaking out. Anyway, to replace the liner is coming in the range of $200,000. So that will be hopefully paid for with grants and fundraising. So expect to hear a lot from the pool during this fall and over the winter in fundraising.
So a big expense.
Yeah. That's my report.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
And I know it's coming up in our talks with the working group about recreation facilities, so. Yeah, so we'll have more to report. There'll be things coming that we'll be able to share with council once the CAOs have so much stuff they have to recommend on, we have to give them time to write report after report.
And I think they've contacted you as well, have they, Sandy?
Yes, I received a letter, email today.
Okay, thank you.
And there was no meeting of the accessibility committee, there was no quorum last time, so that's what happened there. Okay. Under correspondence, you have two pieces of correspondence, one from WCB, one from the province. They're self-explanatory. Like, any questions about either piece? It's there for information. And if there is not, I will entertain a motion for it to go in camera.
I'll move to go into camera to discuss labor relations and contract negotiations and personnel matters.
Do we have a seconder? Second. So before we pass that motion, thank you to anybody who's out there on YouTube. Thanks for joining our meeting, and we'll be moving into camera. Have a good night. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're in camera. We'll start with the minutes of September 28th. Everybody get a chance to look at those?
Yes.